Hello everyone, and welcome to another exclusive training video for 3D World Magazine, brought to you by 3dbuzz.com. My name is Jason Busby, also known as Buzz, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Philip Proud. How you doing, Mr. Philip?
Excellent, Mr. Busby.
All right. Well, tonight we're going to be walking you guys through how to rig a character in 3ds Max, though we will start out by pointing out the simple fact that our viewports are currently empty. As always, we've already done a couple of different character rigging videos for 3D World Magazine. We don't actually have a character that we're going to be rigging up. We're just going to be working with the bones, the controls, etc. But generally, you're going to have some geometry that you're going to be able to use to, of course, align all of your bones up inside of, etc., etc. Does that sound pretty good, Philip?
Sounds very good.
Tonight I'm going to let Mr. Philip take the controls, and I'll probably sit over here on the side and give him a very hard time. So take it away, Philip.
Okay. As said, what we're going to do today is create a skeleton and rig the skeleton up. We're going to start out by rigging up the legs and building the legs. To do this, I'm going to go to my systems.
Systems.
Yeah, systems, and create bones.
Bones.
Bones, all right. We're going to be drawing our bones in our left viewport, and the reason why is we're going to be putting IK in our bones. Whenever you put IK in something, the IK solver needs something called a preferred angle. Let me go ahead and start drawing these things. Maybe I'll take it to here, something like this. Something like this, and maybe something like that. The preferred angle I'm talking about is the angle between the calf here and the thigh. This will tell Max which way this joint should bend. In other words, if you didn't have a preferred angle and you ran IK in something, Max would get incredibly confused about which way you want this leg to bend.
And confusion's a bad thing.
Confusion's a bad thing. So you'll see in a second that he'll figure out to do it right now when we have our preferred angle. I'm going to select my thigh bone here and go to Animation, IK Solvers, History Independent. We have 4 solvers here. The history independent is the one I will be using here. It doesn't care about how long your animation is. In other words, the history independent solver always knows where it is in time and in space. In other words, he doesn't have to look back at any frames. He just knows it. The history dependent, on the other hand, does not. The history dependent solver has to look back at the frames already evaluated to figure out where does the solver need to be. So if you have a really long animation, this is not the solver you want to go with, is it?
Sounds kind of intensive.
Yeah. However, there is the last one, which is a little bit worse, and that's the IK limb solver.
Okay.
As we move our mouse down. The IK limb solver will only function over 2 joints. So it's mainly meant for games and also ships with Gmax. So if you have a Gmax copy, then you'll see this in your IK solver's little flyout there. And finally, there's Spline IK. Spline IK is good for things like wings, and it will give you a spline control or spline to control your joints with, rather than just a single IK goal.
And at this point, I've got to put a disclaimer in there. We work with a lot of different packages all the time, don't we, Phil? And the word joints could be misleading to some people who have perhaps never worked with any other package.
Okay, so I should call them bones, is what you're saying?
Well, what do you think?
We'll call them bones.
Just tonight. Like I said, I was going to sit over here and
I'll be calling the swivel ankle pole vector.
But you're welcome to call them joints. I just want our viewers to understand that you're actually talking about bones.
Bones. So with my bones selected, I'm going to go to IK Solver's History Independent, and we get this little stippled line. And I'll click down on my ankle, which is currently called Bone 3.
Well, that's pretty easy.
That's very easy. And look at this. Now we can change these things.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
I'm going to put in some more IK, and I'm going to go back to my bones. We're going to talk a little bit about what we need to think about when we go to skin this character. I'll select my ankle here, Animation, IK Solvers, History Independent, and just keep running IK throughout the foot. Ta-da! Alright, so now we're done with our IK. Before I continue, I'm going to name them. So we'll name this left hip.
Philip is actually naming something.
Yeah, that never happens.
I'm so impressed.
And left knee here.
Yeah, left knee sounds good.
Left ankle.
As you can see, he's actually naming these based off of the pivot of the bone itself. That way it's real easy to quickly identify exactly what bone it is.
You're so right. And then we'll name this...
I was just guessing.
Left IK ankle and left IK ball.
And the reason he's doing left is because we will have 2 legs in the end, one left and one right.
That's amazing.
Just filling time there for you.
I gotcha. All right, so we got everything named now. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do with bones and Max that we can't do in all the other packages. We can come in and treat these as mesh and actually shape them up. And it's not just for prettiness in your viewport. Well, Jason's supposed to mention something about that, but the real deal here and the real reason for having this is that whenever you apply a skin modifier to your joints or to your mesh and then pick your joints to deform your mesh, the envelopes that the skin modifier functions of are going to have a much, much easier time guessing how big they need to be and what mesh they need to deform. So I'm going to model this just as if it was a real leg.
Yeah. He says all that great stuff, and while, that's true and all, I'd like to add something else in there, and that's the simple fact that by coming in and actually adding these fins, front fin, back fin, side fin, and shaping them to fill the volume of the geometry itself, you get something else that's very convenient, and that is the fact that you can basically hide your geometry and animate just with your bones. You don't need to have a low-res proxy of your character modeled. Isn't that right there, Philip?
That's very right.
And that makes things very fast while animating, right?
That's very
and
right.
And fast is good, right?
And fast is good.
Okay.
Feedback is good.
I'll let you talk now.
All right. So I'm just going to come in here and shape our calf just as if it was a real calf. I'll push this up here.
And you can kind of keep an eye on this over in the left viewport there.
Oh, yeah, totally. That's actually where my eyes are.
Actually, you know what? Real quickly, change the color of those things.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that. Let me shape this one, and I'll change it.
Yeah, we don't want Philip to forget where he's at. That's bad.
We have this so far. Let me go ahead and finish them. Well, actually, I'm going to push this up before I do so.
Ooh, looks like a shovel. Ooh, looks dangerous.
Looks spiky. Something like that. And then for the bones down here, I'm just going to turn on side fins just to give them a little bit of volume.
A little bit of width to the foot.
Yeah, typically feet are pretty flat. Turn these off here. And something like that. And then we'll change the color just for you. Oh. So come in here and let's pick a nice green color.
Oh.
Ta-da.
Whoa. That'll work. It'll be seen.
All right, so we have our
neon green.
Our neon green leg here. The next thing we need to do is start rigging up controls, because right now we couldn't just go ahead and animate this leg. That'd be terribly difficult. So I'm going to come in.
So, Philip, for those that don't know what a control is, what would a control be?
A control could be any kind of dummy object. We're, however, going to be using splines. But actually, it's going to be a little, we can always refer to it as an icon. It's going to be an actual shape, but we're going to make sure it doesn't render, and we're going to just work with it as if it was just an icon for being able to quickly select a given pivot point on the foot. So these control objects are going to be, as I said, controlling the pivots of this foot. So I can get a heel pivot, I can get a ball pivot, and I can get a toe pivot.
So in the end, the animator is going to actually be working with those for animating the foot.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
Alrighty.
So come on, Create. Go to your 2D tab. Go to Circle, and then just come down here, and I'm going to create a circle, something like this. And come to my Modify panel, and in here I'm going to say Display Render Mesh. Notice I'm not checking renderable, so it will not render. It's just going to be visible for you in the viewport here. Go ahead and make the radius a little bit bigger maybe, and maybe a little bit thicker, like that. And we can take the sides down in case you have a low-end graphics card.
Well, it's a good idea to take it down no matter what.
Yeah, because there's no use for them.
Exactly.
As long as you can see it, you should be happy. Then we'll come in and snap this to our IK handles. And again, you can use your Align tool. You can come up in here and right-click and choose Pivot Point. And then come out, you see it turns blue, and once it turns blue, you can just kind of click and drag, and it'll snap it right to where you want it. Hold Control V, and it'll give you a clone. Hit OK, and then go ahead and snap this on, just like that. So now I have my 2 control splines built, and I'll need a further one here. It's going to move him towards the heel in the back.
And we've given our character roller skates.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. They're not going to be roller skates.
Rollerblades, then fine.
Okay. So what they're going to be functioning as are, as I said, control objects to change pivots on our foot. I'm going to go ahead and name them left, control, heel, and left, control, ball.
He's naming again. It's a miracle.
And left, control, toe.
He's not really that bad. I mean, he does name something about once a year.
I know. Once a package.
Yeah, okay. That's great.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and link them. I'm going to stop navigating my view here. I'm going to select my first IK handle here and just use my regular link tool and come in and just click and drag.
So you're creating some hierarchies here.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. We're parenting this IK handle to our control spline. So now when I rotate my control spline, we get this action.
Ooh.
Then to further this, we're going to take the control spline here and link him here. But what you notice is if we just went ahead and lifted him up, our little IK guy would be stuck behind. So first we need to link our IK handle to our control spline. So I'll link him right here. Now, when I rotate this one, you'll see both IK, well, one moves and the other one just rotates. But once I go ahead and link it to my final control out here and rotate this guy, my toe control, the entire foot actually pivots off.
Very cool.
Okay, with that, I'm going to come in and create a little bit extra control. We want to be able to wiggle our toes. So what I'm going to use for this is a little rectangle. So I'll come out to rectangle here, and I'll just use my top view and just kind of mimic how big my toes are. Looks like a character's got a little bit of big toes, but we'll deal with it. Something like this, and go ahead and move it down. Again, you can use your align tool, but something like this is good. With that, I'm going to go in and align my pivot all the way back to the beginning of my rectangle. So I'm going to go to the hierarchy tab and say Effect Pivot Only. So now only the pivot will move. I'll come over and choose my Align tool. Again, I've been hitting Alt-A all along, but this time I'll show you where it is if you don't like hitting Alt-A. Align, pick the same object, then go in and say, I want to take my pivot point. I want to move him to my maximum, and what axis do we want to go in? I want to go in Y in this case, so maximum Y, and it snaps right back to the maximum Y of the rectangle. I'm psychic here.
With minimum being on the other side.
Yeah, minimum being over here. So that's the minimum. It will go to the other side. So maximum, and hit OK. So now you can see our pivot point is sitting right where we want it, and I'll go ahead and uncheck Effect Pivot in case I mess anything up here. And
it looks like it didn't work for just a second.
Yeah, what we'll do is go ahead over here, change this to pivot point, and then change this to local. Now you can see your pivot point is sitting right where you placed it. So don't freak out. It is where it should be. We should also go ahead and align this in Y as well to the IK handle there.
To the IK's pivot point.
Yeah, to the IK's pivot point. So let's say pivot to pivot. I'll choose Y, and it'll snap right back there. Okay. Now we're ready to rig up the toes for wiggling. So I'm going to select my last IK goal here and just click and drag my link tool. So now when I select my little rectangle and rotate with the moved pivot, you'll see he can wiggle his toes. Again, these toes are a little bit big, but
hey, they look great, man.
So it's flopper here. It's not a real human.
They're modeled after my toes.
Finally, we'll link this guy back to our...
Except mine aren't a nasty yellow.
True. Yeah, okay, they're not.
Yeah, he's looking. All right, that's enough.
Alright, we'll link our rectangle here back to the spline. So drag, here we go, link. So now they'll move with the toe pivot action there. And then finally, but we're getting towards finally, I'm going to link my control spline of the toe back to the heel. So I'll get this action. Ta-da!
Whoa!
So he can
cool.
he can tap here, like James Dean, and he can wiggle his toes like Jason. And he's got all the other pivots as well. We're missing one last pivot, and that is the pivot of the ankle itself. I'll steal the little ski I made already and just push it back here. Here, make a copy, and then go ahead and move his pivot up to the ankle. So while my object remains down here, I'm moving the pivot of the object up to the top. So Align tool, and then zoom in a little bit here and pick our IK and say pivot to pivot X, Y, Z. So now you can see it moved it up to the pivot, to the pivot of the IK and where the ankle really is. I'll turn off effect pivot again, and now you can see if I go in and rotate. Well, we'll have to do some linking, but at least you'll see that our ski is now rotating around the ankle. So finally, we need to come in, select our heel here, and go ahead and link him to our main control down there. Go ahead and select them. There we go, and to our main control. Dependence loop. Yeah, the reason why there's a dependence loop is I went ahead and copied him here. So when I copied him, he actually inherited all the parenting. So I'll come down and break all links here. So take him out of all the hierarchies, and then go ahead and do the link. Tink and tink. Now I can come in, select my ski, and actually change the entire foot orientation with this guy in all axes. just like a real ankle. We still keep all the rest of the control. I can still come in and say, I want to ball my heel, I want to ball my toe, I want to lift my foot up by my actual ball, and I can wiggle my toes. So you have all this control now just by setting up a few control spines.
Oh.
Now, we're not done yet.
Why?
We still need to be able to control our knee. In other words, if I came in and selected my foot and lifted it up, I don't always want to put my knee in this direction. Sometimes I would want to put my knee in another direction.
Maybe.
If I'm doing like a river dance or something.
Okay.
So if this is an Irish character, we're going to come in and set up a little control null here. And I called it a null. A point helper for the max.
You've been working in brand X lately.
Yeah,
I understand.
yeah. So click the little dummy here, or not dummy. I'm lost. Alright, and click the little helper, and then click the little point here, and come in and stick a point in front of the knee. And again, you'll have to probably, well, it's pretty synced up already because I'm just building in the flat plane. And we'll pull it out a little bit here, and then come in and select your IK. Thank you. Come to your motion panel, go and say pick target, and pick your target. Evidently it didn't do anything, but you'll see once I start to move this thing, now we're doing river dance action. Also, now I can link this to my toe. I'll link it to my toe here. And now when I move my entire foot, the point moves with it.
Our target.
And I can rotate, our swivel target, that's right. And I can rotate just like a real foot moves. Again, I like to parent my point to my toe because typically if you try moving your own leg, you won't be able to move your knee without changing the direction of your toe. You can try and keep your toe in one place and try and twitch your knee around. It's not that easy.
Now this is all pretty brilliant and everything, but I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that you can simplify this for our viewers for selecting all of these different things you've set up for them to select?
See, now he's losing the word. Yes, there is. What Jason is hinting towards strongly here is that we can come in and create a little user interface for this.
User interface.
Yeah, user interface. Using Max Script.
Or better yet, how about Visual Max Script?
Oh, we need better, yeah. No real coding here, just Visual Max Script.
That's what they always say, no real coding. Then the next thing you know, you're flipping through manuals and you're like, wait a minute, this is code.
So yes, we can do this. I'm going to go ahead and finish up my naming before. So I'll come and name this guy here. Let's go call control foot master. And I'm going to call this control wiggle. Ooh, and what I need to do, Jason? Left control big wiggle. And left control master. Alright.
Oh, I was going to get you on it, but you wouldn't let me.
Alright. So, also another point is you can always duplicate your hierarchy. We might want to show that first before
Did you name your target?
Oh, right. So left swivel target. You can actually duplicate this entire hierarchy over and make another foot. So what we'll do up here is we'll come in and select our whole thing here, and then just go ahead and shift it over.
But since we're in local right now, this causes problems.
All right, shift it over. And let's go ahead and...
he's going to go and take it off of 0 first, and he's just going to move it over a little bit in his front viewport. There you go. I'm now shifting out of student mode for just a minute. Maybe a little more, because it's just a beefy leg. Well, now back to the right just a tad. Okay, I'm being picky. That's good.
That's good.
Now he's going to hold shift, and since we're now in the view, there we go, coordinate reference system, he's now moving it over to the other side. Look at those two legs. Whoa, don't get too far apart now.
Somewhere right around 90.
Yeah, that's good enough. Excellent.
So one moved about 45 and the other one was moved 90. So now, to prove that this works, and this is where everybody holds their breath, including me.
Nah, it'll work fine. Look at that.
Look at that.
He's all excited
now.
He's
pedaling. All right. So...
At this point, it's generally a good idea to
save.
hold or save your scene. He's thinking good.
Hold. All right. And now we'll go in and create our little Max Script setup.
And I will point out that, yeah, those legs are too far apart.
Yeah, I was going to say. But we'll leave them for now. I'll move them back later.
Okay.
Do you want to move them back now? Okay.
Just in a little.
For Jason.
Oh, you're so sweet. That's good. And then
that
the other
is
one?
10 units in. And that is...
Oh, that's much more natural.
That is a lot better. Now we'll come to our visual max script, and I should do that slower.
Yeah.
I went to my utilities panel, I clicked on more, and at the bottom I chose visual max script. Ta-da! So this won't be as bad as it looks.
It doesn't look bad at all. It looks actually quite cool.
Well, that's because you're a programmer.
You're not supposed to say stuff like that. I'm supposed to be the... Never mind.
So for people that aren't programmers, this may look a little scary.
Looks like Visual Basic.
It looks like Visual Basic, but
looks
again,
like Delphi.
Not for people that are not programmers.
Okay.
We're going to create, I'm just going to do a few. I mean, I can set up for the entire thing, but I'll just go ahead and let's say we'll set up one up for the foot and one for each of the 3 targets here. So I'll go ahead and click button here and just draw out a button, something like that. And then I can come in and copy that button and paste it in. And I can actually steer it with my cursor.
Steer it with your cursor. That's pretty cool.
Steer with my cursor. And let's just do 2 across. So I'll need 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll paste one more. So I'm leaving my wiggle out just for now. Something like that. And again, you have coordinates over here you can follow if you'd rather use those.
Or you can just use the mouse.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, well, I like it to be lined up, but I'm just kind of eyeballing it now. We'll make a small row like this that just has 4 buttons. Maybe we'll just use them to select the main foot and maybe just a toe or something, because the principle is the exact same, so showing this 8 times would be a little bit redundant. You'll select your button here, and you'll see the button has properties, and the properties have values. So with my button, you come here as a name, BTN1. This is not the name right there. You can see it says button. It doesn't say BTN1. Instead, the caption is what holds this little text.
Ooh.
So I'll click caption. Let's call this left foot master. Okay, so this will be
chops
used.
off all the text on the button.
All right, so we'll just call it L master. How about that?
That's a lot better.
Or you can come in and scale your button. You're welcome to do that. And then we'll make right master over here. All right, and then below it we'll do what would we prefer? The toe, the wiggle, the what would you like?
Whatever makes you happy,
Okay,
Einstein.
I'll just use the toe. So we'll call this left toe and right toe. So you see, it doesn't only just work for masters; it also works for any object. The next thing you want to do here is come in and set up events for these things. So every time a button is pushed, an event is called. And you see them under event handlers. So I'm going to select my master here, and without moving him, pink, pink, click event handlers, and it says event handler pressed. And see there's a little Windows Explorer hand. Just check that, just click that. And it gets a little checkbox. And then here you can write your code. So this is where people freak out because they have to type a little bit. But again,
see, I told you, didn't I tell you we was going to get into this? And they say there's no code involved. Next thing you know, you're in the code going, why am I typing code?
All right, so we're not going to type code. We're going to steal code.
Okay, that's better.
So I'm going to come down and select what I want to do in Max. So just do my operation in Max. In other words, select this thing.
There you go.
Come to my listener here. And if you don't see anything, make sure your macro encoder is enabled. With that enabled, now I'll come in and select my little ski here. It says select L control foot master. I'll take this line, just that line, copy it, minimize this, come back to my pressed, and paste it here. Control V. So there's also a paste up here, but you can't right click in here.
Trust me, that's enough code to freak out a lot of people.
So select object. The little dollar sign always refers to an object. L control for L foot master. Looks like I was a little redundant here. No, control. I'm losing it. L control foot master. And this will happen every time you press the button. So I'll hit OK. And then I'm going to do the right one.
Which instead of going and selecting it again, he could have just simply pasted it and changed the L to an R, but he didn't rename earlier with all of the left and all that when he duplicated, so it's not exactly going to work right. I walked you right into that, buddy.
That was mean.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
All right.
Just having a little fun here.
So we're not going to do all this naming. I watch my macro near break on me now. Let's see. Nah, it's working. All right, so we'll come in here, copy, pressed, paste.
I'm having
okay.
too much of a good time.
All right, so left master, right master, and then the left toe and the right toe. So this will be my toe. Open my listener. Control toe.
Which, of course, you could leave the listener open as a workflow enhancement. Just a suggestion.
And the right toe.
Oh, very nice.
watch it not work.
That'd be too funny.
All right, so with that, we're done. Well, that's not true, but we're getting done. Next thing I want to do is save this thing. So File, Save As, and go ahead and we'll call it test here on this original one. I'll call this foot.
You're saving it up under UI?
Yes, I'm saving it under UI.
Okay.
This is your macro scripts will be in this little folder, so it's pretty convenient to have your visual Mac script hanging here. In other words, every time all these guys.
Oh, I see why there's Kadara on there. That's because Mr. Philip Prow was one of the programmers working on
Human IK.
Human IK.
Yes.
For those of you guys that may be familiar with that soon. Isn't it cool? I got to say something good. Philip used to be a student of mine for a very long time and did a very good job of driving me crazy. So this is payback right now.
Yeah, I was good at questions. All right.
What does this button do? What does that button do? What does this button do? Why does that button do that? Just kidding. Go ahead.
All right. So save my VMS file now. Now I want to save my macro file, my MS file. So again, there's another test in here. My VMS file works for this little UI. In other words, I can load the UI back in, and Visual Max will read it back. My did I call it foot control? My MS file will work inside Mac, actually run with Mac, so I need a copy of that one. So I'm going to say save here, and go ahead and close this. Okay. So
that's okay.
Now with this done,
sometimes happens.
We're going to go to Mac script, open script, and pick our little foot control. Okay, so this is all the code that was given to you just as a freebie. Again. Is that you don't have to read this. You just got to acknowledge it exists there. We have to write 2 lines of code, and then we're done.
See? Here we go again. Proving my point.
And I'm going to show you where to find this code. Everything is justified. Go to Help, Human IK, Help, Mac Script Preference, and come in and type Add Rollout.
Human IK is absolutely awesome while he's typing this out. I'll just say that.
Thank you.
It's coming out from Kadara. It basically applies the Filmbox or Motion Builder control rig inside of 3ds Max to a skeleton.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As I dig here, it says Add Rollout, First Rollout, and it says RF.
Of course, for our beginner viewers out there, the reason you knew to type Add Rollout is, well, you didn't.
Huh? Sorry?
How did they know to type Add Rollout?
I typed in Add Rollout here.
So they
all right. So you say you want to do something with a rollout, okay? So I'm going to go to my search. I'm going to type in rollout.
Okay.
Okay. Utilities and rollout properties. Let's try that one. Okay.
Ooh.
So this goes on about utilities and rollouts, hopefully. Here it is. Add rollout, rollout. Now, this does not specify what we want to talk about, because we want to talk about adding a rollout to a floater. This only talks about it adding to a utility. So if we keep looking.
Of course, our beginners would know that. How? I'm sorry. I'll leave you alone now.
Rollout floater windows.
Okay.
Floater, something you want to do. We'll try
good.
this one. So now, add rollout, rollout, rollout floater, rolled out boolean.
Yeah, that's not confusing.
If the optional second argument. No, actually, this help file is extremely good.
It really is.
Very,
really,
very
really
well written, and you just take a basic course at maybe
3dbuzz.com when we do some Mac scripting.
In Mac script, and you'll catch on pretty quickly, and it's very easy to dig around this thing. Basically, what it's telling you is add rollout will add a given rollout to a given floater, and usually they have examples of this. Again, there you go. Add rollout grin. So the name of our rollout is grin. This is grin right here, grin right there. And we're adding grin to the floater. So a rollout floater is just a little area that will pop up on your screen, and they're storing that in a variable called GV. Now, again, I can't go in here and start talking about
that's good enough
coding in depth here. So get the little which VTM was it where we went over some pretty in detailed Mac script things.
Believe it or not, it was actually another 3D World magazine one.
Oh, okay. Well, then hopefully you've already seen it and you're already a little bit familiar with this.
Yeah, that was the one that we did the muscle plugin.
That's true. That's true. So I'm going to steal this code right here, copy, minimize this, and then stick it out here.
He minimizes the help because he'll need it again and again.
No, I won't.
I'm just kidding.
So, of course, we can't just run this. We have to use our values. So we have a rollout, and it's named unnamed rollout because I never gave it a name. So I'm going to call it my rollout unnamed rollout, or if you want to call it something that made a little bit more sense, maybe you call it foot control. Okay, now we can take this and put it down where we have grin. So grin referred to the rollout in the help file, and now it's referring to the rollout in our file. GW refers to a rollout floater. Basically, a new rollout floater will build a little rollout floater on the screen. I can go to the end and evaluate this if you want to see it. To minimize this, be right behind it. So this is all that little line did. It just built this little thing like a clipboard you can stick something on. So I'll just stick with GV. It's just a variable that points towards that rollout. But I'm going to name mine foot control. And 300 by 220 seems a little large. Let's try something by 160 by 160 maybe. And then say add rollout foot control to GV. Yes?
Now, as far as the size, didn't we get a width and a height anywhere from working inside
Yes,
of visual?
we did, but they don't quite translate, unfortunately.
They're not even close?
Nah, they're not that close now. We can try and use them. You'll see the floater will be too small. But we'll use these just for you. Watch it work. Alright, add rollout foot control GV. Let me save it. Evaluate it. Now it's giving me problems, so we'll look in our listener. Clear all, evaluate it again. Rollout foot cannot assign to read-only value. Look at that. Yeah. I walked straight into a read-only variable. So we'll just call it our foot control. So in other words, what happened was MaxScript has system variables. Sometimes you want to read a property off some object, and then Max will store it in a specific placeholder. I accidentally walked straight into one of those placeholders and said, this is mine, and Max said, no, it's not. So by naming, give it a unique name now, our foot control. I'm sure Max doesn't use that one. Let's see here. This is great. Clear all. Rollout our foot control cannot assign to read-only variable. Add rollout. What am I doing wrong? Our foot control GV. Add rollout new row footer control.
This is where Philip begins the troubleshooting process to figure out exactly what's wrong.
Okay, so our foot control. Our foot control GV equals new row footer. This is absolutely correct. But we get it right here. Let me try and call it something else. Alright. Something was stuck in that variable.
Yeah,
it didn't like that variable I stole from the help file. So we'll call this our floater and wrap this up. And then save and evaluate that. Alright, as you can see, it is too small. So you have to add a little bit of width.
Bit of height.
Yeah, a little bit of height to it. I think this is the second one. Let's try 110. Yeah, maybe just 100. Something like that. That's
excellent.
Pretty good. And then you can save this, file save it, or you can just take it all here, drag it, and just drag it up here. And then whenever you click that little button.
You had, okay.
There you go. Whenever I click this little button, you'll get, and you can see they work, left toe, right toe.
So in other words, there was actually a purpose behind this whole thing.
No, I was just driving in circles.
And that is, in the end, he's got this floater here that allows you to go in there and quickly select things that may be difficult to select because of so many related things being so close to it.
So yeah, now I can control the feet just as I want to.
It makes it easy for an animator.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to see this little thing up here, you can go up a right click and say Edit Button Appearance, and we'll call it foot control.
Now it's text.
Ta-da.
Okay. All right, well, you're doing pretty good, Philip. You want to go ahead and throw a spine in there?
Okay. I think we should just stop now and then continue the next section with spine.
All right, sounds good. Go ahead and close that, guys. We'll go ahead and save what we've got at the moment, then we'll continue on with the next section in case we have any problems.
We'll just hold it.
Yeah, holding's good.
There we go.
All right, so we're back, and this time we're ready to do the upper part of the body.
All right.
Let's see what you can do.
Take it away. Anyways,
take it away.
I'm going to close this just for now, since we're not going to be animating the feet just yet.
Yeah, well, if you're animating, you're generally not building a rig, so yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to maximize this view here and go ahead and build the spine, maybe to about here. So I'm going to come to Systems here and click Bones, and then let's just do about 3 spines and a neck and a head. So I'll do something.
While he's dragging these out, I will go ahead and point out, yeah, he's got those default fins already turned on now from earlier. But I will go ahead and point out that as far as...
Again, a very tall guy. Let me undo that. I tend to always build my
See, I
spines too
was
big.
giving you some filler because I knew you'd have to do this several times.
Okay, I see.
Generally, with the geometry, it helps. But I was just going to say that, when you're rigging a character, generally, what you're going to do is go in there and place all of your bones in first. Then you'll go back and start actually setting up all of your control rigs.
Okay.
We're just breaking it down into simple, or Philip's breaking it down into simple sections for you.
Yes.
Tink, tink.
So, okay, so that's a little bit better.
I hate the color.
Huh? You hate the color? Jason hates the color.
Well, we just want to...
Other green. Okay.
Yeah.
Green. Okay, so now we have a little spine built, and the neck probably doesn't need fins like that. So we'll take those out. Tink, tink.
But Philip,
tink.
why do you only have 3 spine bones then?
Why do I only have 3 spine bones?
Well, there's a reason for it. Generally, you would have more.
Yeah, generally you have 5 or 6.
It really all comes down to what your character's going to be doing.
Yeah, and also for this thing, we're going to be demoing the reactor controller. So
and we don't want to spend an hour
breaking this thing up,
exactly.
and also not crowd the screen up with.
Exactly. I just wanted to take a second and point that out, just so that people would understand. Okay, that's why he's using 3.
I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, so I'm sure my spine. I always bend my spine either too big or too short, so that's why I want people to give me a model. Is this okay for you? He's laughing, isn't he? He's a short little dude.
He's a squatty little guy. It'll work though. It'll work. Keep going.
I'll demo one little tool just so you see this. If you go to character, go to bone tools, and you check on bone edit mode, you can actually come in and position and stretch your joints just like you want them. So I can come in and make this a little bit longer. Go to Y. So now he's a little bit longer.
Very, very cool.
And do the same thing. That's kind of nice. You can just kind of stretch him.
So see, it ended up working out really well that you showed this.
Yeah. Watch me make him too tall now when we zoom out.
No,
I don't know. Maybe that's better.
That's perfect.
All right, it's perfect.
That's his head up top.
Yeah, I know.
You need to make his head a little bigger.
Okay. So we'll make his head a little bit bigger. I'm going to select the head and come in and adjust the fins. So those side fins here and...
Make his little face stick out a little further.
Yeah, definitely. So the back here. Oh, that was the front.
No, the front. Yeah, the front. Stick the old front out there. He's got a big old nose.
I'm going to take this up here. Let me taper it up.
I would put some more on the old front.
Like this? You want one on the front?
Yeah. There we go.
This?
Yep, I'm happy.
You don't want this maybe pull down?
Okay. Yeah, however you want to do it. It's all good.
Okay. So this is my face. Jason's saying stop. And now we're going to build some more bones. I'm going to go in and build the arms as well. And then we'll come back and rig the spine. So I'll come in here, my side view, and come in and build a clavicle. And probably need a good pretty much screen space, probably up to about here. And I'll go ahead and make it big. So we'll build our clavicle something like this, upper arm. I think this is too big. Upper arm, middle arm, and then just a nub for my hand for now. And let's go ahead and turn all these things off, and then we'll adjust in some more. And I'll show this bone tools again. This was written by Swami, whoever who uses Mac seems to know. He's a very, very, very talented Mac scripter, and he's actually works in the discrete form now. Written a million tools and always helps everybody. So we're
going to start by adjusting those fins because this can be extremely misleading to look at.
Exactly, and we can do this by just coming in here and unchecking them. Look, we're doing multiple now. We're not just doing one. We're doing them all, actually. That's kind of nice that you can do that.
Absolutely.
Now I'll come back and just work with them one by one, but just wanted to show that you can adjust multiple fins by using the little tool there, bone tools. We'll pull this back. I shouldn't be eyeballing this. Let's do it something like here. And again, we'll give this a nice limey green color. And we can come in and put some fins on it. I'm going to start out by rotating into a preferred angle, though.
Again, need it for the IK.
Exactly. So do something like that. And then we can kind of better tell what's what in this arm. So I'll come up to the top here, turn on side fins. Oops. We'll do front. And take our taper down to 10. And take our size down. Something like that. And do the back as well. And again, set this down to restore the defaults here. And take the size down. And again, I'm not really going to worry too much about this because you've seen that you can adjust them, and as long as you've seen that, that's pretty much the whole key to understanding this. But just shows a little bit of volume here. So it's like this guy here. Give him some side fins like this. Front. Adjust this taper. And pull it in. Not too fat of a guy here. And something like this, and something like that. And for now, I'm just going to leave the little nub because I don't think we'll be covering a complete hand rig
We're going to be very limited on time. Can also go ahead and flatten out, that guy there.
Go ahead and
Give him kind of a clavicle feel.
Something like that, maybe. And take his taper down. Something like that. Just kind of like a flat plane working there in space. Then, with this, I'm going to come in and put IK. So I'm going to select my my shoulder here again. We should come in and name it, but for the sake of time.
That forearm, before you do that, go ahead and adjust those fins on the forearm. They're real. If you look at the top, the side fins.
These are too big?
They're huge.
Okay.
It's a forearm, and it tapers down to the end. That makes me feel better.
That does feel good. He's so good about it.
Just picky.
Alright, so then I ran IK without everybody saw it, and now we can do this.
Woohoo!
So the exact same principle as a leg. I mean, it's pretty much a leg if you look at it from this point of view. Look, it's a leg.
Except we could go in there and put some extra controls on this guy.
We can do this.
Right.
We'll do a little swivel action, both for the elbow but also for the shoulder, so you can kind of twist your shoulder back and forth. I'll come in and I'll create a little circle. So I'll come into a circle here. And let me go ahead and build in this view this time. Something like that. And I don't need to move his pivot just yet. First I'm going to align him to the upper arm here. To the shoulder, pivot to pivot, so he sits right there with his shoulder pivots around, and then I'm going to move his pivot down to where the clavicle is. So I'm going to say effect pivot only, and go ahead and align it with the clavicle again, pivot to pivot X Y Z, and hit OK, and uncheck effect pivot.
Very cool.
Now, that's not the cool part. The cool part's coming up here.
I know it.
Now I'm going to go in and do some parenting. Basically, I'm going to parent my clavicle to my spline here. So when I rotate my spline, you'll see we get this little twisty action, and a little twist action up here. So if I put my forearm in a little bit better position, maybe something like that, you'll see that we'll be able to kind of shift our shoulder back and forth, and shift our shoulder up and down.
Very nice.
And again, this is something that when you do a basic rig, you almost everybody forgets. They forget to do the clavicle and just have the shoulder rotate all the way up. And that's going to give you some funny deformations. Let me go ahead and put my arm back in place here. And then I'll create a little target for him, just like we did with the knees. So I'll come in and create a little point. So come to helpers.
There you go.
And point. And go ahead and create it, let's see, right about here. And just move it back in space. Behind his arm, like that. Select the IK goal, go to the motion tab here, pick your target, tink, and if your max doesn't say tink, it's okay. And now I can control the swivel of my arm out here, and go ahead and link that to your spine, and also go ahead and link your clavicle to your spine.
He said clavicle.
Oh, sorry, clavicle, your control spline.
That's right.
Thank you. So now I can move my arm around, and I can change which way I want my elbow to swivel, and at the same time I can come in and adjust the way I want my shoulder blade to move. So if he's lifting his arm, you want to animate the clavicle pivoting upwards. So again, the clavicle takes over the motion of an upper arm. You could push it and go in and hook it up with your active controller. So when you move the IK handle above the level of the shoulder, the clavicle will actually start to automatically rotate. That gives really nice deformations. The next thing we're going to do, I think we're pretty much done with our arm.
We could just duplicate that or mirror him.
Go ahead and put it on the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm going to select all my controls here.
And his IK.
And hit mirror, because I don't know the shortcut. And make a copy, and go ahead and clone it over. I should really have looked at his position, because then we could have gotten the exact position.
Yeah, but you can get close.
Does that look good to you?
Yeah.
Something like that, maybe.
Very good.
And so now we have our character standing in like an Ed 209 position here.
Hey, very cool.
And I don't have no arms, I have no hands. Anyways, if we disregard that, what we can also do is, well, first of all, we need to link our legs to our pelvis so that if the pelvis walks off, the feet follow, and vice versa. So I'm going to come in here and go to my link tool and link this to my pelvis. So now if I move my pelvis around, you'll see he can now bend in his knees and do little jumping
so
jacks.
we're starting to get somewhere now.
Yeah, so it's beginning to look like a character moving around. He can come down and go, loo. All right, and this is not human IK. No.
No, not even close.
What we can also do is create perhaps a control for the spine, so we can bend this thing back and forth, and we can do that with using the raptor control. Again, this is why we have so few spines. We only have 3 of them.
Quick question: do we want to perhaps show them an expression first?
Okay, we can do that.
And then
yeah.
we'll work our way back up from there.
Certainly. We can come in here and. There's a expression that's used a lot, and it's this expression for keeping your pelvis between your legs. The expression gives a very mechanical motion, but just for the sake of this VTM, at least you'll see how to tie in an expression, and if your character is mechanical, then you can use it. If not, I don't really recommend using it with real humans. And we'll also show you how to gain control over, so you're not stuck with the expression. In other words, you can turn the expression off and then animate freeform. I'm going to create a little control spline, so I'm going to come over to my lines here, or circles, and in my top view, go ahead and create a little circle, a little hula hoop like that. Now, I'll take that hula hoop and align that with my pelvis, X, Y, Z, and pivot to pivot, and I'm going to maximize this view.
Maybe thicken it up a little and bring the radius down?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll pull it down maybe like this, and then we'll go ahead and thicken it up. Something like that. Okay, so now we have this little hula hoop. What I'm going to do is come in and assign expression to this little hula hoop, so that he always sticks between the 2 legs. I'll try not to say anymore. I caught myself saying like 5 times. All right.
Really? Okay.
So select my hula hoop, select my pelvis first, and link him to the hula hoop, not with the regular link tool, but through the motion panel. Select the transform tab, the transform track. Click a little sign controller and do a link constraint.
This is the magic of being able to unhook it and rehook it back up to the expression.
Exactly. So now add link and click link here. So now it's linked to the circle. So if I move this circle at this point in time.
And you might want to point out the frame 0 and you're at frame 0.
Yeah, totally. That's very true. I'll come back here to my pelvis, and you'll see add link will add the hula hoop to the little link list down here, and it basically works off a frame basis. So you can link to world later on in your animation, and then link back to your hula hoop again.
Exactly.
What else was I going to point out? Yeah, I've rigged a lot of characters, and I found this to be one of the most efficient ways of doing this. You can do it. You can do a list controller and have a little freeform animation on top of a procedural track. In other words, have like a Bichet controller or an XYZ controller above a expression. But it always seems to end up in a very bad way once you start animating. I found this setup to be pretty much flawless, and that's why we're not doing any list controllers. I just want to point it out. We're going to keep just one controller on our hula hoop. So with our hula hoop selected, I'm going to right-click and choose a curve editor. Curve editor, we used to be called graph selected, I think, and come in under its position, and go ahead and right-click on position and say assign controller. The shortcut key is C. In here, I'm going to choose position expression. So it pops up this very, very scary editor.
Which isn't bad at all, really.
No, it's quite simple.
Kind of walks you through it.
Yeah, you have variables, you have scalars and vectors. We'll talk a second about what the difference is. On the right, you have the current output. Right now, this hula hoop is positioned at these coordinates in space. So it's very, very close to 0 in X. You can see there's a little E there. It's 10 in Y, and it's 100 up in Z.
And you can see this if you look at the bottom.
If you look at the bottom, oh, very nice, Jason. So this is the actual value and not the rounded off value. I think it just rounds off after 4 digits.
It'd be kind of scary to see that with a
in Houdini, you'll probably see that. Okay, I'm just going to steal the original Z value because I don't want my hula hoop to change in Z based off the feet. That just seems to cause too much trouble. In case, I'm going to switch this to vector, and a vector again is a 0.3 value. A scalar would just be a single value, but we want to adjust both X and Y and then set Z to a constant value. So I'm going to click vector and come in here and create a vector called left foot, hit create, and create another called right foot, and hit create. In left foot, I'm going to click assign to controller, come down, pick my left control foot master, and pick his position track, and hit OK. Now you can see assign to left controller foot master position. Again, this is why we named them. This one we're going to look for the left controller 0, 1. right there.
And this is because he didn't finish naming them.
Exactly. Position now assigned to 0, 1. In here now, I'm going to come in and instead of taking this X number out, I'm going to put L foot, and this is case sensitive, so watch out for that. Dot X, dot position, dot X plus right foot. Now what am I saying here, Jason? It is just dot X plus. I'll explain again in a second why. Because I'm pointing towards the position tracker already, and not just towards the object. So now L foot dot X plus right foot dot X, and the next one is going to be L foot dot Y, and you can probably just copy paste this a bit quicker, and R foot dot Y, and then we'll leave the Z as it is. Then finally, we're going to come in and divide this with 2. So I need to divide this, let's say, to about 220. And then just put a division 2 at the very, very end. We'll try ahead and go and evaluate this. I'm not using any parentheses. I'm going to see if I can get away with this. Going to hit evaluate. Nah, it doesn't like that. So we'll go ahead and put parentheses in. So first I want to evaluate L foot dot X plus right foot dot X. Then I want to evaluate L foot dot Y plus right foot dot Y. And then just a 220. And I want to take this whole thing and divide it with, what are you complaining about now? With 2. L foot dot X plus right foot. Oh, look at my casing. As I said, it's case sensitive. Be careful about that. I didn't
fun.
See right foot here, how sloppy I am? Right foot. So right foot. There he went. So I bit myself. Remember, the expression editor is the only part in Max that's case sensitive besides file names in Max script.
Exactly.
We'll go ahead and hit evaluate. As you see, you saw this thing kind of slightly change in the viewport. Now when I move my feet, you'll see that the pelvis actually moves with it. And I can come in and move my foot up and down. My pelvis does not shift up and down because I do not like that.
Oh,
you could have tied in a Z. And also from the back, you can do this. Alright, just to keep things simple, I'm going to go ahead and link these two guys to my hula hoop so I can walk with them. You could either keep them linked and then just first animate the hula hoop and then animate the arms, or just forget about the arms for now and then go animate the arms later once you've done your walk cycle for the lower body. But now, if I change this thing, you'll see everything moves. So I'm going to come in and just give a quick step here. I'll turn animate on and go up to, like, let's say, frame 15.
What a great sport.
Shift his foot forward. Let's go back here. Move his foot over, up a little bit. So now he kind of takes a step here. I'll shift up a little bit more so you can better see it. Extreme here. So it takes a big step here. And then, maybe he's running. Then
Green Martian guy, come on.
Yeah. Then we're going to shift the other foot, let's say from 15 to 30, just up to the next one. So he's traveling the same distance. There's no acceleration here. You see the pelvis is just working for me. I need to move this keyframe up to 15. And ta-da. And then we'll move it up, say right about 24, 23. Maybe some more. So now he's taking this little mechanical walk.
He's stomping.
Yeah, he's stomping. It's stump. Now I want to go ahead and go to freeform. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, and hopefully I won't mess up the first time.
By the way, just to point out, the whole idea of what he's doing at the moment is just to show you that this is how you can come in there and basically turn the expression off.
Exactly, yeah. Right now we're stuck with expression. Like, let's say now I want him to kick a can or something.
Yeah, try to kick the can
So I'm going to kick this can out here with my little left master here. That's a funny kick.
Yeah.
Typically, I don't move my pelvis when I kick. So this is where
Unless
your expression. So this is where your expression gets in the way. Maybe you're just charging at the guy, but this is where the expression gets in the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn animate on, we can leave that off actually, but we'll have to set a key for the foot. What I'm saying is we'll have to come in and select our pelvis, and just go ahead and say link to world. Now on frame 40 and after frame 40. My character's feet will be able to move without affecting the pelvis. The hula hoop will still move, but the pelvis will not. So I'll come in as like my foot, and I'll just set a keyframe here, and go to, let's say, frame 50. So we got the same thing so far. Frame 50, and move his little foot like this. And you can see now he can kick and do whatever he wants.
Of course, it's one of the drawbacks to having your IK in the arms, actually.
Yeah, his arms is launching forward.
His arms are involved in the kick, too, heavily.
So, yeah, the arms are kicking with us here. And again, go back and unlink them.
Everybody has a different way that they like to work with the arms. I'll just point that out. I personally never parent my IKs into anything. I like being able to control those completely independent.
Okay.
But everybody has their own way. Phillips just at this point telling me to shut up, so I'll do that.
So now I can kick, and my pelvis doesn't move. This is actually a dance move. That's why I want the arms. It's the start of the river dance.
Exactly.
And I can come to frame 60, and let's say I just want to put my foot back down where I came from. Something like this. And then I'll go ahead and turn my pelvis back on. So I'll add another link at frame 60, and in frame 70, I'm going to start walking again. So look at that.
Very nice.
So now walk, and walk. River dance. All right.
You're scaring me.
Close this. That was a little expression and a smart way of unlinking an expression without getting into heavy expressions, heavy math. The other thing we're going to look at is the reactor controller. I think is that the last thing we're going to cover?
Yeah, I think so. We're really running tight on time right now.
So I'll speed up here a little bit. I'm going to go home and name these real quick. I'll call this spine 01. And now Jason's saying left spine 01, right?
I did not.
Now, spines, they don't typically have a prefix. Spine 02 and spine 03. We're just going to work with these. Okay. I'll turn auto key off. Now, what I'm going to do is create a little manipulator, a little slider for us to make him bend, bow forward and backwards. I'm going to come under helpers and switch to manipulators and create a slider here. I'm just clicking my viewport. I'll call this, we'll just call it bend. Now, I'm going to come into my track view, my curve editor, sorry, X4, and find my spine here and go to his rotation. And I'm going to switch to the dope sheet for a second here and look at what rotation is it I really want to tie up here. So I'm going to come in and choose rotate and tie and here, switch to the pivot so we move the entire character. And switch to local. Okay. Now rotate the character so he leans back and forth. He's kind of doing push-ups now, vertically. And look at what value is changing. You can see the Y value is the one that's changing. I'll do it again. So the Y changes. So we want to tie this into Y. So I'm going to right-click on Y and choose Assign Controller. Just hit C and come to a Float Reactor. If I can find it. Here we go. And hit OK. Look, I will pop up. I'm going to leave him here for now and just slowly crowd up your user interface. Then when I select the next spine, remember, notice that he stays, and check him out again. Rotate. You can see it is his Z that changes. So Z, right-click, Assign Controller, Float Reactor, React to, and react to the, well, my bad, I've got my mouth too full there. I don't want to set up a reaction just yet. I'm going to do the last one, and then I'll jump the gun again. So spine 3, and come down to rotation. And we'll look at the rotation values here again. I'm going to rotate him. And you see it's Z. It changes. So now Z, right-click, Assign Controller, Float Reactor, hit OK. And just kind of put this guy out of the way for just a second here. We'll put him up here. Now what I want to do with these three open is come in and rig up Spine 1, Spine 2, and Spine 3. So Spine 1, React to this little bend spinner or slider, his object and his value. And the same thing over here, react to the object and the slider and the value. And lastly, react to the object, the slider, and the value. So perhaps we wanted to have him bend back a little bit first. So I'll come in and change my state here. For my first one here, my state over here, and my state over here. Like that. I'll just set reaction here, make sure the reaction is at 0. I didn't need to do that, it was at 0 already. And then turn on my manipulator, and let's say move this up to 20, and maybe straighten out his spine again. Or you can just go to 100 and put it all the way. And then we'll have to find the medium position. But if I do 20 first, then I'll know that 20 is my exact medium position. So go ahead and hit create reaction, create reaction, create reaction. Then hit, or change the state, something like this. So perhaps a left view would do me a lot better. Here we go. Change the state. Something like this. Something like that. And something like that. Okay, so now I've changed my 3 states. And now finally, we can always already check it here. He leans back, leans forward. And we can go to the final destination at 100 and create another reaction. That was kind of... Oh, okay. Create another reaction and create another reaction. And change the state here. So maybe you want to bend to here, bend to here, and bend all the way, maybe something like that. And then now when I slide my little guy, you can see he can lean back, he can go to the center point, and he can lean all the way forward. So it's just a quick way of showing how to set up a driven key. Now I can close my track view here.
And because we're running really late on time...
Notice me calling it driven key.
Because we're running really late on time here, we'll just go ahead and point out a couple of things. Of course, you've got them bending over and backwards. You could have them twisting left and right. You could also have them bending side to side. So there's 3 different sliders that you could go in there and set up. You also have the neck, that you can have the neck bend forwards and backwards. And then the head itself can left and right. Again, a series of sliders for setting up.
Yeah, and look at controller for the eyes.
Look at
for
controller
the head,
for the eyes.
Staring or something.
I mean, yeah, we could still go on for quite a while. The fingers, setting up the hand, basically the same type of thing, using the reactor controllers so that we can go in then and just use simple sliders for controlling.
Finger curls.
Yeah, I will go ahead and take a second point. One thing out that's a little bit more advanced is, as opposed to just going in there and assigning only a reactor controller, we could have gone a step further and assigning a list first, and then Bezier on top of that.
Yeah, so we always have free form.
Exactly, so we could still have the ability to control it ourselves, because right now Philip's taken away the ability to control it.
We're locked in right now.
Exactly, the reactor.
Yeah, Philip did it.
Yeah, well,
there's his voice.
I just wanted to point it out. Okay, so I think this is pretty much going to wrap us up. We've walked through most of the character. Philip, you've done a fantastic job, even if I did harass you quite a bit. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
It's just too fun, man. But outside of this, look for an advanced character rigging on 3dbuzz.com, where we will be, of course, we'll have a lot more time to explore some of the concepts a whole lot further and show some different rigs, because there's, of course, different things that we could be doing right now.
Yeah, this is all about what does your character really need to do. Maybe he needs FK legs,
Exactly.
Maybe he needs FK arms.
Maybe he needs an FK IK rig
Exactly.
on the arms. I mean, there's just so many different rig possibilities out there, and Philip's absolutely right. It really does come down to 2 things, really. What does the character need to do, and number 2, how does the animator like to work? And then even then, you could even go a step further into creating an entire UI to make it really easy with sliders and pictures and buttons and radio buttons and the whole 9 yards.
But it is important to point out that it's not how the TD likes to work. It is how the animator likes to work.
Exactly. That's why I said
that. And that's
that.
what a lot of TDs, they go out and like, oh my god, I can do this, and then they just do like a million expressions, and the animator pulls out the character, and he's like, oh my god, what is this?
Exactly.
So, yeah, remember that.
Okay, so that's going to wrap up this video right here, and we thank you guys, and I'd like to thank Jim Thacker and let you guys out there know that you're welcome to stop by 3dbuzz.com at any time and check out an entire massive library that we now have pretty much put together of training. I guess we're starting to approach 100 hours of training now. Of course, we give it all away for free, so come on over, check it out, become a member. It doesn't cost a thing, and have a good time. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and wrap this section. And that's where my tongue fell apart there. I'd like to go ahead and wrap this session up here. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank
Bye.
You.